Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that little piece of music that I wrote this afternoon. I don't think I have a title for it, but you guys can maybe come up with a title for it. That would be quite cool. It was fun to make, and yeah, I just went absolutely bonkers with synth sounds and layering things up and adding things like bit crushers and red light distortion all over the place and phasers and stuff like that, and just went a little bit crazy. But it was loads of fun to make. So I hope everybody has had a fun time. Excuse me. I like to think that, you know, for as much as, you know, there are various opinions about Halloween, I try to think of it as kind of, it's kind of a fun time. I know that there are some people that take it very, very, very seriously and, you know, probably go over the top and stuff, but, you know, I like to try and just make it it's just essentially just a bit of fun. And we don't get too terribly deep into things. But it was fun to make that little piece and kind of explore some darker tones for once. But yeah, all of that was done making, let me string the sentence together if I can. All of that was made just using stuff that's already available inside of Studio One. I didn't use anything external. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Tony says the same but different. Okay, that's an interesting title. Cool. I like that. Keep suggesting them. All right, let's go up to the top here and see who is here first. And it's Billy Morgan who is here first. And then Ken Moss came in the door. He says, "Hi all, won't be able to stay tonight because of Halloween, but I'll watch the replay." Cool. Hope you enjoyed the replay, Ken. Glad that you dropped in to say hi anyway. Appreciate it. Thomas over in the Philippines says, "Good morning." Billy is here, as I said. Kyle is here as well. Paul Morgan says, "Hi." Hello, Paul. Good to see you. And who else do we have? Looking down the list. There's me. Lollipop Guild is here. She says, the usual suspects assemble for some hoots and howls. Yep. Kyle says, JL will hit us with an augmented 9th chord and we'll all run away screaming. Yeah, no sharp 9 chords today anyway. Not, at least not yet. John Lake is here as well. Don Oliver is here. David Anthony is here. And Bops is here as well. I'm just trying to see who else. Rick Gran is here. Rick, good to see you, mate. Welcome. Glad you're here. Loyens is here. Just Bob says, what is a math teacher's favorite Halloween treat? Pumpkin pie. That's a classic. Just Bob likes the intro. Carl says several years ago, my son took us to Salem for a witch trial. Yeah, there was a famous. I mean, that was a very, very, very famous event that took place there. A lot of injustice was done. A lot of dodgy things took place, and a lot of people were needlessly killed when they probably had nothing to do with it in the first place. And I think there was a film, or there might have been more than one film made about the Salem witch trials. But yeah, it's an interesting place to go. Kyle says different year, but a local DJ newsman recreates Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast from the actual town where it supposedly takes place. War of the Worlds is awesome. I remember the film, the first version of it. And I remember the stage show, the Jeff Wayne stage show, which is actually really good. And the record that came out with it was really, really cool. I liked the production techniques involved with that, where they had two drummers. They had a drummer on the left channel and a drummer on the right channel, and I think they had two bass players as well. But yeah, it was a good stage production as well, and I thought they did the story justice in the stage production. The original film was really, really good, and proper scary, actually. I'm not sure what I think of the remake with, I think it was Tom Cruise, was it, who starred in the remake? Yeah, not really sure what I made of it, whether I really liked it or not. I have watched it maybe 2 or 3 times to kind of, and I still can't figure out whether I like it or not. It's strange. It's one of those things. Hang on a second. I've just discovered something got spilled on my pillow. I'm having to use a pillow for my back at the moment. And it looks like something got spilled, right, which is a bit of a pain. But there we go. Anyway. Mika's here as well. Mika retracted his message, as did Just Bob. Which is interesting. There you go. Lollipop says Doom Bells. I like that. Mika says, trick or treat, I'm scaring the neighborhood kids with my pirate costume and pirate voice. Even my dog is freaked out. Yeah, it's a shame we can't post pictures, isn't it, to the chat here? Because that would be quite entertaining, actually, to see what outfits you have worn. My kids did a little bit of dressing up. David Anthony did not like the remake. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I think of it. Mind you, I'm not really sure what I think of Tom Cruise as an actor. I think that might be part of the problem. I've seen him perform well in some films, and I've seen him perform badly in others. So I'm not really sure what to make of him. And he does tend to have a bit of a track record of picking films that don't have a great script, unfortunately. But yeah, I remain ambivalent, I think, is the word about the remake of War of the Worlds. I thought the original film was fantastic, really suspenseful. I think that's what was missing. Maybe that is it. Maybe that's what was missing from the remake, was the suspense. I think they made a lot of the things that they kind of left to suggestion, that, you know, kind of where the directors and the screenplay writers got into your mind and enabled you to, you know, engage some imagination with the film. And maybe that's what it is that's missing about, you know, remakes, particularly of that film, anyway. Just Bob says, The War of the Worlds 1953 burned into my brain the unreasonable fear of streetlights. Those ships' long necks look like they're like... Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with that. For sure. So there we go. I hope you guys are all having a lot of fun. Bobby Booth is here, which is awesome. We can actually start the show now. Now that he's here. So I hope everybody has had lots of fun. There's lots going down at the moment in Personas Land that I can't talk about. But suffice to say, it's all cool. It's all very cool indeed. Very cool indeed. That's all I'm going to say about that. But so let's get into your questions, folks, because that's what this show is all about. This show is all about your Studio One questions. So, and your songwriting questions. Although mostly we do songwriting questions on Songwriting Simplified. But yeah, if you do actually have any songwriting questions that are just on your mind, then by all means. As you can see, Steely Dan t-shirt from the 2019 tour that they did to the UK and to Europe, and they came to Glasgow. I went to see them in Glasgow, and my good friend James Towler was doing the sound for them because he is they had Steve Winwood on their tour, and Steve Winwood is awesome, by the way. And James is Steve's producer, and I managed to get to know James, which is quite nice. And he's a cool guy. He's a really cool guy. He's been to some of the UK Studio One meetups, so I've had the chance to talk to him offline. But yeah, he was there that night doing the sound for Steely Dan and for Steve Winwood. It was a great show. Really, really great show. But yeah, let's get into your questions, folks. Get them in the chat, and we'll get going. Otherwise, this is going to be a seriously short show. We might actually break the record for shortest show, which I really don't want to do. I really don't want to do that. We currently have about 18 people here, which is actually pretty cool considering it's Halloween, and a lot of you got families, so you're probably out doing all the trick and treat business with your families. Why is that light not all working? Hang on, I think I've got a broken light. Hang on. There we go. I think that's better. I was just looking at the preview and just going, hang on a minute, one side of my face is not lit very well, and I worked out why that is. So, that is an interesting rumor, Mika. Yeah. I can neither confirm nor deny that, but that's an interesting rumor. Lollipop Girl says, how would you go about setting up the sound for an ambient guitar? Ambient guitar? It depends what you mean by ambient guitar. If you mean by a guitar with just like lots of reverb, or maybe with some kind of synth bed or something underneath it, then yeah, you would just you would record. You could either record through the reverb, if that's what you want to do. You want to bake the reverb into the track, or you can simply just get room reverb and stick that on as a send, and you could maybe use a big let me think. A big cathedral style reverb, or you could use a plate reverb, something like that. And I would recommend that you EQ the reverb. So you can either put the EQ before the reverb so that the audio is being filtered going into the reverb, or you can EQ after the reverb. I don't think it matters too terribly much. Most of the time I put the EQ after the reverb on the effects channel, and I would high pass up to about 350, maybe 400, and I'd also low pass around about, I don't know, 3 or 4K, something like that. And all that does is just, it depends on how bright you want your reverb to be. You know, if it's solo guitar, then I wouldn't worry too much about the low pass, but certainly the high pass will just mean that you don't get any of the low rumble go through the reverb as well, which can make the reverb just sound really muddy. And you know, you think, why does this guitar sound so muddy? So you then go tweaking the EQ on the guitar, and you mess up the guitar tone, and you go, but it's still muddy. Why is it still? It's because a lot of the low end is still going through the reverb, and that's where the build-up is. So if you have a lot of instruments going through a reverb, sometimes the reverb can just have a build-up of low end, and you think that it's your mix, when it really maybe isn't. It may be that you just need to, high pass filter the reverb so that there's not a whole lot of low end information in the reverb, so that you don't get that particular build up. I've done that and found that it's just like totally saved a mix. And it does make a big difference. And I go, wow, all that low end is gone, and suddenly the mix has just totally opened back up again. So if that's what your intention is with kind of what you're calling an ambient guitar, then yeah, wash it with some nice reverb. Just get the low end out of the way of the reverb so you're not kind of making the guitar sound really, really boomy. It's one thing to avoid. And you could certainly put a synth bed underneath it as well. You could certainly try that for sure. Is gravity a force? Yeah, the not chosen, that is an interesting question, but not really within the scope of this show. But I appreciate it anyway. Just Bob says, side note, my new computer up and running. Yay! I can start recording again. Fantastic. Latest version Studio One. Need to reinstall some third-party plugins. Thank you for your help during shows. You are welcome, Bob. I'm very glad to hear that you are up and running. That is great news. Paul says, I have been having an issue with Impact being a bit unsteady. I have a 4 on the floor beat, and instead of it's and you're talking about you got some hesitation there. It could be quantization. It could be that your 4 on the floor is not really tight to the grid. That can certainly be the case. Impact itself doesn't really get delayed, to be really honest. I mean, we can certainly test that. We can certainly open up a new song, and we can check that out, whether that's an actual thing that we can test. So let's go and get Impact. Let's just close a few of those things up there. And let's get over into the song. Here we go. So let's go and get Impact over here. And we'll go and grab the drum kit that I always use, which is Tom Brecklin drums. There's your kick drum. So what we can do is we can get our click track on, get the pre-count on for 2 bars, and then where's my kick drum? There we go. There's my kick drum. So let's maybe do a little 2-bar loop. And we'll maybe do a little bit of loop recording. Why not? So let's get this on. Now, all of that was all over the place and quite hideous, to be really honest. But what we're going to do is we're going to select everything by just grabbing one of these, and then we're going to go Control A. And what we're going to do is we're going to quantize the nearest 8th note, because that's the shortest note that I actually played. And we're going to press Q. And let's see what we have. Okay, so that is pretty much right on the beat. We can check that with the click. And that's pretty much right there on the beat. So I don't see that there is any particular issue with impact, but it could be if you look in the note editor or the drum editor, which we're in just now, you can check and you can see if everything's lined up. You know, we can Control Z all of that, and we can see from my original performance that nothing was on the beat. Which I did quite deliberately, by the way. But all you need to do is just select one note, do Control or Command A, and then press Q. And now everything has moved to the grid line. And it should all be nice and neatly in time. So I hope that that helps you. For sure. Lollipop Girl says, would you use any compression or delay? On acoustic guitars, I tend to use virtually no compression. To be really honest. There are compression settings you can use where you get a very, very smooth style of compression. That's if you really, really need that. You know, if your acoustic guitar part is very, very percussive, then maybe you might need some compression. In which case, maybe something like an optical compressor would do the job, like an LA2A style compressor, or one of those Focusrite Red, I think they are, the red compressors, something like that. Something that is an optical style compressor might do the job for you. But yeah, I don't tend to use any compression on acoustic guitars unless there's something very, very percussive going on that I need to get some control of. Oh, for the ambient, you're using electric guitar. Electric guitar, yeah. You could use like a lot of delay, ping-ponging delay, and maybe have that delay go into a reverb. That might get you something close to what you're after. With quite a long tail, maybe. That might do the job for you. Paul says, yeah, I don't know what the issue is. I'm just reading the chat here. Are you using input quantize and have the quantize set the way a good peg leg likes it? I like that. That's funny. Paul says, I have tried everything I can think of. It's a recurrent issue. So by saying it's a recurrent issue, do you mean that it is reproducible? You can reproduce it at will on command. Is that what you mean by that? I hope that what we've shown you a little bit about quantizing helps there. Mika's taking this whole pirate thing maybe a tad too far. Let's see. Rap and dance are into lo-fi. My take. Those styles took off right before digital and have lived in digital. No real analog life. Something old, something new. Do you agree? I like lo-fi music, by the way. I like a little bit of lo-fi hip-hop. If you've ever checked out anything by bass player and YouTuber Adam Neely, there's some pretty cool things you can do with a DAW with lo-fi. You know, some of it might be that you use microtones, a little bit of microtonal tuning. Maybe instead of using 12-tone equal temperament, which is what Western music is based in, and has been since maybe the 1860s, 1870s, maybe try exploring something like just intonation or, you know, 17-tone equal temperament, something like that. I'm not talking about detuning. I'm not talking about setting A to 432 or something like that, because setting A to 432 just sounds bad. I mean, it's just an accepted fact because you are distorting the harmonic series. That's why it sounds bad. It's not just because it's bad, which it is, but there is a scientific reason why it is bad. Because you can only play certain keys, which was why they changed it to A equals 440, because they found that the harmonic series is a little bit more even and a little bit more exact. And it means that more instruments can play together and you can play in more keys, and it means that, you know, you're not kind of limited to only French horns being able to play in 2 different keys, which is kind of part of the problem. And oboes and that kind of thing could only play in certain keys. So it became a pain in the butt, going, okay, so I have to write in D major, but that means you can't play. And you can't play, because your instruments will sound wrong in D major. Okay, you need to sit this one out until we go into the, you know, B flat major or something, because those instruments will work in B flat. So that's why they changed it to 440. So I'm not talking about, you know, 432 or anything like that. But lo-fi hip hop is very cool because you can use a little bit of warbling. You can use microtones to create that kind of lo-fi kind of vibe, and it does work. Works pretty well. And I actually like it. Mika is a Mac pirate. Yes, he is. Let's see. United Effect is here. And they say, for ambient electric guitar, I've always been happy using a volume pedal plus the delay and reverb. Yes. Volume pedal, absolutely, so that you are cutting off like the plectrum sound. So you're kind of plucking the strings with the volume off and then bringing the volume in, so you get a nice little volume swell with no attack. That's a cool idea. JL is a landlubber. Really not. I have actually been in the Navy. Mika, you're having too much fun. I wonder if you've been at the rum, and that rhymed unintentionally. But yeah, Paul, please provide us with some very specific steps by which we can try and reproduce your problem, because as I have just demonstrated, Impact works absolutely fine and is totally 100% on the grid, and there is no stutter, there is, you know, there are no issues. It's absolutely 4 to the floor, nailed to the grid. So if you can provide us with some steps to reproduce it, I will try and reproduce the issue right here on this show. And if we discover that there is an issue under certain conditions, then, you know, I work for Presonus, so I'm well able to go and report that and get it logged. And in fact, I can log it myself with the development team, and they can take a look at it and see if they can reproduce it. Because ultimately, you know, if the guys in Hamburg can reproduce it, then they can fix it. They can work on fixing it and fix it maybe for the next update or a future update. Who knows which particular update they'll chuck it on. But it may turn up in an update if they can reproduce it. Just Bob says, so it's not just about the means of recording, the way it's imprinted on tape and the crude capabilities as compared to digital. Seems like they are going for a certain sound. Yeah, you can do lo-fi, you can create that lo-fi vibe digitally and still have the same effect. I think the whole lo-fi thing kind of starts with mechanical tape machines and the fact that under certain conditions a tape can be made to warble, and that's where you get the lo-fi aspect originally. And then, you know, what tends to get done these days in the digital domain is by using various microtonal things or tape simulators to be able to recreate that. If you have the new Retro Mix Legends, there is the Porter cassette, which emulates a tape machine, a cassette tape machine specifically, whereby you can play around with some of these aspects and can create something akin to that. And then it's just a case of finding out ways in which you can detune or retune, I should say, not detune, but retune certain instruments so that they make use of a different system of intonation rather than 12-tone equal temperament. So that you can play those notes that are actually in between the cracks on the keyboard. There are exact gaps between all of these notes. There are exact gaps whether we're playing down here, whether it's down there or up here. Those gaps that we call semitones are exactly the same because it is tempered equally. The distance between semitones is tempered equally into 12 equal semitones. And that's kind of what happened, kind of towards the back end of the Baroque period. And Johann Sebastian Bach celebrated this new equal temperament by writing 48 preludes and fugues, which he called the well-tempered clavier, which was celebrating this now equal temperament that we have, where the intervals down here, the distance between one semitone, the C, and that C sharp there, was the same as this C sharp. This one here. That interval is exactly the same as that one. And prior to this particular period in the late Baroque period, that wasn't the case. This distance between C and C sharp was larger, and this C sharp, that interval was much smaller. But then, of course, they changed it. They worked out with maths that you can divide the octave into 12 equal semitones, regardless of where it is on the keyboard. And that made it not only easier to play the keyboard in tune, in a variety of keys, as demonstrated by Bach, because the 48 preludes and fugues are in all 12 major and all 12 minor keys, which could not be done. Could not be done before then. So, yeah. That's kind of where lo-fi kind of comes in. See, Paul says, I'm sure Impact works fine. It's only recently I've had the issue. Just for the record, I'm a huge fan of Studio One, and I'm sure the issue is down to my own lack of knowledge. I mean, as you could see here, I could not reproduce your problem. I played quite deliberately out of time to then go and quantize it so that it's nice and in time. The reason why I played deliberately out of time over here was so that I was able to then go and quantize it all and make it nice and neat on the grid and just check that it's actually quantizing correctly. It might be that you have a particular quantized value set, because there are several quantized values you can set here. There's some of these with a swing, for example, so they're not precisely exactly eighth notes. They're eighth notes with 20% of swing, or eighth notes with 80% of swing. So it might be that you've got one of these values set for your quantize. And that being the case, if you've got like as much as 100% swing for an eighth note, then it means that the eighth note won't kind of be exact. It will be swung. It won't be dead straight. And so that might be where your issue lies, or maybe you've got this 5:4 ratio for 16th notes, which is great if you're wanting to do quintuplet shuffles, which then goes back again to kind of the whole thing of lo-fi. Lo-fi music makes use of things like quintuplets for shuffles, or for 16th notes, rather than 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. You divide the beat up into 5, so 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Instead of 4, and that kind of gives the groove a slight sense of being lopsided. So if you've set it to 16th with a 5:4 ratio, it means that you're going to have like a quintuplet thing going on. And that might give your quarter note a little bit of a kind of off-kilter sense. So it maybe that's what you have done and you're just not sure about it. All right, United Effects says, I purchased Studio One Producer. Wow, that's an old chestnut. Almost a decade ago, my computer died and I'm finally getting it fixed or replaced. Will it cost me to reinstall Studio One, or can I use my old product key? If you are either replacing your computer or having your computer rebuilt, and therefore you're having Windows 10 put on it, or even, in fact, Windows 11, you will find that Studio One version 1 or Studio One version 2, it sounds to me like it's probably Studio One version 1, because 10 years ago would be 2011, and I think version 2 did not come out until 2012. That being the case, you probably have Studio One version 1. In either case, whether it's version 1 or version 2 of Studio One, they won't work on Windows 10. They just won't even install. The installer just won't work. It won't run. Because it was never designed to work on Windows 10. So you will be in a position where you will probably have to upgrade. The upgrade price is pretty reasonable. If you go to shop.presonus.com, click on Studio One, and then check the little box on the top left side of the screen for upgrades, you should be able to see what the upgrade price available to you is there. And then you'll be able to get the Studio One version that we're all looking at now. This is Studio One 5.4. So you'll get access to the show page, and you'll get this drum editor here. You can also get the score editor, which looks pretty cool as well. All of this is available in Studio One 5. You won't get any of this in Studio One 2 Producer. So, there you go. It was upgraded to version 2. Okay, so if you're on version 2 is no longer supported by Presonus. It is just too old, and it likely will not run on Windows 10. You might find on an early version of Windows 10, you might get it to work. But if it's the latest version of Windows 10 or even Windows 11, not going to happen. You're going to have to upgrade. So that would be my recommendation to you there, United Effect. And I like your channel name. That's a very cool name, actually. Paul, you are very welcome. Deer Creek says it's off-kilter, an Irish expression. It might be a Scottish expression, but it probably is Irish. You're probably right. Mika is just being hilarious, by the way, tonight, folks. I think Mika has been at the rum. Steels is here. Hello, Steels. Good to see you. Oh, Mika, you are hilarious. That's just too funny. Deer Creek is here. Good to see you, Chris. Welcome. We're just kind of chatting quite generally. We got about 15 minutes to go of the show. You missed my intro music. For anyone that missed the start of the show, I will play that piece of music that I played for you at the start of the show. I will play that again at the end so that those that are coming in don't miss it. So we are taking your Studio One questions. We've so far looked at impact and quantization. I'm going to go back over to this screen. United Effects says, can you repeat the website address again? Certainly, shop www.presonus.com. And then when you get there, there's a big button there that says Studio One. Click on that button. And then you'll get like a list of stuff on the side, on the left, and you can check the box for upgrades, and what will appear to you there will just be the Studio One upgrade prices. And since you have Studio One to Producer, you'll be looking for the one that upgrades you from Producer to Professional version 5. Studio One Producer was discontinued in 2015 when we launched Studio One version 3. So now we just have Artist and Professional and the free version, which is called Prime. So yeah, Studio One 2, we discontinued the Studio One Free and Studio One Producer. So now we just have Artist and Professional. And of course, with PreSonus, you get pretty much everything that we make in the PreSonus shop that is made by us in your account. So you get Studio One and all of the add-ons that are available for Studio One, and you get Notion, the notation software that we make, and you get all the expansion sounds for that. So you get not only the London Symphony Orchestra recorded at Abbey Road, just the traditional orchestral sounds, but you also get some there's like some jazz horns, there's some obscure instruments like the Wagner tuba, whoever would want that, but you never know. And then there's some obscure percussion sounds as well as some sound effects, plus you get a choir as well, which is very, very cool. So if you are into writing with notation, then Notion is definitely the thing for you. So if you have PreSonus, you get all of the notation stuff and all of the Studio One add-ons as well. And you get Studio One 5 Professional, and you get access to all the new sound libraries that come out every month. There was one added just recently that I can't remember the name of, which I think had something to do with Halloween, but I can't remember what the name of that particular new sound library was. But yeah, we add loads of stuff every month. Too funny, Mika. Just Bob. Yeah, I can relate to that, Bob. He says, Halloween's an everyday occurrence for me. Once a day I look in the mirror and it scares me. Yeah, I do that pretty much every day as well. You know, it's just like I get to the mirror and go, "Oh dear God, who the hell is that?" Freaks me out every time. And then my wife just says, "Yeah, that's you." And I go, "Oh, okay." I thought some stranger had walked into my bathroom, but no, it was me. Yeah, United Effects, PreSonus definitely is an awesome product. Because you get all of that stuff, plus you get all the new sound libraries that are added every month, plus there's collaborative tools like things like workspaces, which is great because you can collaborate with other people using a workspace that exists within your PreSonus account, but it's also linked inside of Studio One in the Cloud tab. I can just very quickly show this, just because it's there. So you have PreSonus Exchange, which has been around for donkey's years, SoundCloud integration, which has been around since Studio One version 2, and now we have PreSonus. So if I click on this guy, and this opens up. Oh, come on, open up. Here we go. So that opens up this tab here. You got collaborations, you got workspaces. So workspaces are workspaces that I have created. These are mine. So I've got Brand New Day, which is a song that I'm working on. And I've got some people that are doing some tracks for me that are just going to, they're going to add their stuff to that. And then there's this, which is my little personal playground called my Cerebral Jazz Club. And I just like play around with ideas in there. And then there's collaborations, and these are the ones that I am a member of. So these are other people's workspaces that I have joined. There's Johnny Guy's workspace right there. So that's always loads and loads of fun, and Personasphere is pretty new. It's only about a year old, just over, and we're always improving it all the time. Deer Creek says that he is gearing up for Alder Lake CPU 12th Gen i9. Yeah, I heard about those. They sound pretty cool. Kyle says Mika's had more than his allotment of rum, no doubt. Yeah, I think it sounds like he probably has. Deer Creek, that is funny. If a lassie says off-kilter is one to oblige, it depends on the circumstances, my dear friend. Steele says it's not an awesome product if you already had Splice since version 4. It kind of is, actually, because Splice is just Studio One. That's all it is. You don't get all of the other cool stuff. But once you've fully paid up your Splice license, you can then go ahead and purchase a membership of Personasphere. And the cool thing is that with Personasphere, when the next major version of either Studio One or Notion are available, and as soon as they're launched, they get added to your account. You don't have to pay any extra. They are just added to your account, and you just continue to pay your either monthly or annual fee. Whereas with Splice, you have to kind of start again, and you have to, pay again. So it's a little bit different because the Splice purchase is specifically just Studio One. You don't get all the new content. You don't get the workspaces. You don't get Notion. You just don't get any of that stuff. And you don't get access to the exclusive masterclasses or any of that stuff that you get as well. But that is another subject. All right, so we got about 4 minutes left, which probably means we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions that we can do before we wrap up this show. Deer Creek says, Black Friday sneak peeks? Nope, I will not be doing any Black Friday sneak peeks. You'll have to wait and see what is released for Black Friday. Yeah, you'll have to see what kind of sales. It's pretty much a guaranteed thing that there will be something for Black Friday. Don't know what that is. I don't work in sales, so I don't know what they do. And I don't work in marketing either, so I don't know what they do either. They are kind of a law unto themselves. What they tend to do is, and I never get to hear in advance about what they're going to do. So quite often they surprise me as much as they surprise you guys. Mika says, we'll be putting that to the test. Even with my iPad, I'll give it to the broadside with the King's Ransom. That's just too funny. Lollipop Girl says, please stay seated while the ride comes to a complete stop. Keep your hand inside the cars at all times. Yep, absolutely. We are coming to the end of the show. But this has been fun. You guys have asked some good questions. I don't think we've had a massive audience here, which is a bit of a shame. I think we peaked at 19, and now we're kind of around about 12 or 13. But that's okay. I don't mind having a smaller crew on Halloween. It's kind of to be expected. It's the same with kind of New Year's Eve. We tend to only have a very small crew for New Year's Eve. 4 minutes to pack your cannons. What? Whale oil the wheels, may come at the ready. Arr. Mika, I don't know what you're drinking tonight, mate, but I wish you would drink that every Sunday, because you are just being absolutely hilarious. It's delightful. I'm enjoying it very much. For sure. Skeleton Crew for Halloween is fitting. Yes, absolutely. We are the Bones. Yes, for sure. Is PSO grinding to its end? MIDI packs ever discussed? PSO is still available from the shop if you don't have it already. It did get a little update about a year ago. Mostly because yours truly discovered that there was a small error with the cello section, which we have since fixed. And I think that was last year in February, I believe. Just Bob says, thanks for everything you do. Can you do a show where you dial back frequency issues with a 4-piece band? How to clean up mud? Yeah, we can certainly add that to the list of shows. But that is a good one. That's a good choice. It'll be cool. Steele said it'd be cool if there were more features and separated plans. For what? For Studio One or for Persona Sphere? Persona Sphere is kind of like the big thing. It is the big cheese, I think as they say. I don't know where they say that or why they say that. But yeah, Persona Sphere is kind of the big cheese. But that's not to say that perpetual license holders are left completely in the dark. You guys aren't. We love you just as much as we love members of Persona Sphere. It's just that the membership, there's a lot more stuff there. But yeah, new features get added to Studio One all the time. In fact, just lately, just for Studio One 5.4, we added a whole bunch of brand new features that were made available for everybody. In fact, when we do an update for Studio One, all of the features for that update are available to everybody, whether you are a perpetual license holder or a Persona Sphere member. You get the same features. The difference being is that Workspace is exclusive to Persona Sphere, and the new sound libraries that come out every month are exclusive to Persona Sphere members, but new features that are added to Studio One are for everybody. There is no discrimination. Everybody gets those features. So that's kind of that, really. Mika says, even this pirate loves a landlubber's show as good as this, mate. Grog or not, we pirates learn the ropes here. You're very welcome. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm getting smiley faces now from Steels, which is good. Deer Creek says Cakewalk had the orchestral garbage out of tune and they never fixed it. Well, that is very naughty on them. I'll be honest. Very naughty on them. Well, Steels, I'll let you in on something. Seeing you said that you're kind of a little bit broke, I totally understand that. I have been there. I'm a jazz musician. I know exactly what being broke is because I have lived it for a large proportion of my professional career. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Membership of Persona Sphere is only $15 per month. And I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. I'm not definitively saying that it won't. I'm just saying I don't think it will. It might. But at the moment, it's $15 a month. And I'm pretty sure that most people don't spend that much. Or maybe they do. Maybe they spend more on that for coffee. I don't know. I don't go to Costa or Starbucks or those kind of places very often, so I don't know how much they charge. But I don't suppose people would spend, they'd spend maybe the same kind of amount on Starbucks every month. So if you find that you're spending $15, $20, $25 even at Starbucks every month, then, you could probably certainly consider maybe cutting back the Starbucks a little bit and having some money set aside for Persona Sphere every month. But it is up to you. I would make limited plans for the classes, for instance. That'd be cool. That's an interesting idea. Deer Creek says jazz musicians can't even afford to play the notes in the correct scales or keys. Oh dear. Dear. That's terrible. Anyway, we're going to close out the show. Thanks very much, everybody, for coming. And I will see you guys all on Wednesday over at Jonny's channel for Songwriting Simplified. Should be a good one. I'm talking to Jonny. We've got some good ideas up our sleeve for the next several Songwriting Simplified shows. So should be pretty cool for the next little run of shows. Should be good. So looking forward to seeing you there, same time, over on the Home Studio Trainer channel for Songwriting Simplified. So until then, I bid everybody a very good night. Good night.
Ha 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 ha!